Okay, so now we are working on, as they call it, the tailplane. Over here in America, we call it the stab. So,
because America, baby.
whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. One thing you will want to notice is the difference between the ring ribs and the stab ribs.
The ring ribs? The ring ribs, new terms every day.
Is you want to, these are flat in the front instead of the little fish mouth. So
for comparison, I don't know if it even shows up, but yeah, whatever.
So this one you want it square instead of that one where we had it at a diagonal. So I've put in a few ribs already, and I will continue to do that. You also need to do the last of your gussets to stick right here in the middle, so that way you can kind of beef up the...
So what they're showing here is you put the gussets here on the bottom. After everything else is done, you're going to let in this sheeting on the top in between the wing spars, or stab spars. So that's a little quirky of a procedure. It's not bad. It's just one of those, that's how you build it.
So we'll come back when we've got more done. Hi, so just to let you know what I've done since the last one is I finished putting the ribs on our stab, inserted the gussets in the middle, and have done the tips there. And I've also finished our fin here. So, that's basically just cut out the 1/8 sections and glue the F1 and the F2 and the X in there. So
you'll notice right here that everything notches in just to improve the strength a little bit.
Yeah.
And so now what she's going to do is install the spars top and bottom in everything, and then we'll be ready to set the dihedral on the wing. Put the landing gear mount in here, make the nose block, sand it all, and then start the covering job.
So, as you can see, we have installed the spars and the stab in the middle of the wing and one of the tips, and we're about to do it in the other tip. So right now I'm just putting it down.
We should mention these are the upper spars only. We'll flip them over to put the lower spars in. We have this pinned down particularly because it warped on us. So, common occurrence.
These you just place them in here. Since they're long, you just kind of...
My wife is learning my bad habits.
I'm using the knife too. The blade, whatever.
So she's going to lay them all in there, and then she'll glue them all in at the same time. You do want to remove these and put glue in each of the notches and then put them back in.
And I'll show you how I did that after I get this one in.
You might want to move my wad of epoxy crud out of the way. It's from the giant rocket glider nonsense, which is currently a bit of a debacle, but we'll talk about that later.
So since I got them all cut now.
Do you remember which one's which? Not really.
So then I grab the segment, and then this, I just make a big glob of it in here.
She's so detailed. I just squirt it in each of the notches and make a mess.
Well, I was gonna do that at first, but it was coming out a lot, every time I try to do it, so I just did it this way. So I just,
She just didn't want to make a mess.
yeah, just kind of took a stick and...
I, on the other hand, have no such compunctions.
I'm trying to save weight.
Oh, is that what they call it these days?
Yes.
I call it OCD.
Well, I don't want it to look like, you know, I gained a lot of weight. No, you may not.
Say hi to the camera.
Hi.
We have a very unhappy little brother right now. He's had a rough day.
So I kicked a plane
Now you got the glue in there.
Oh, we have to go back. Here we go.
Come back and...
Not fun.
I'm just kind of trying to... This way I can save as much weight, so I just...
Now, if we were getting all fancy pants, we would actually build these all as one piece and then notch the spars diagonally to set a scarf joint and all that. But it really doesn't have to be that strong because it's a rubber model. It's going to fly mostly in 1G flight loads.
So, we're going to let that dry, and we will come back and show you after we've installed some of the spars on the bottom. So, just to show you, this is what I have to deal with when I come back to build. So, we'll get this cleared off and get some work done. See ya. Okay, so as you can see here, we have we've cut and beveled the spars and cut everything. So I will show you what we need to do. First you come to the rib and just kind of cut it diagonally right here. Just enough that...
The rib or the spar?
Spar. Just enough that... And, help if... Okay, so just enough that you can push this down without everything else. So this one, you actually have to glue over here, so just kind of push it that way. And then you come and trim off your excess.
That is one dull razor blade.
Yeah. I need to get a better one. And then what you want to do is you just want to bevel it.
Except don't bevel it the way she does. She's going to cut herself eventually.
Yeah, eventually. I haven't yet.
Wow. Attitude.
So, then just stick a little bit of super glue there.
And it moved.
Yeah.
Well, hold it back before it dries.
Why do you think I'm getting excited?
I'm just pointing out what glue normally does to me. It waits till I look away.
And there you go. So that's what I did with the rest of them. And now we will move on to the sheeting, and then we'll flip it over and do the...
At some point we point out that I forgot to tell you to put the dihedral gauge on these ribs, and where I have to crack all that loose. That's my fault.
Oh well.
That's the look that says, honey, you messed up bad.
Yeah. Hopefully when you guys do this, it won't be as awkward because you will remember to do it when you're supposed to do it. Can you dab some... No, glue.
Well, I thought you put glue on it.
No. Because then I noticed that the rib was starting to turn back.
Let's see, is that gonna hold? And I'll give you some of the back. And you can put your gusset in there too. I don't know where the leading edge gusset went.
That's not good.
Okay, we'll have to chase that.
So to kind of catch you up, we have sheeted in the top of the
Let me slide over
stat.
here. Show folks exactly what we're talking about. So this is flush on the top, so you have to cut out each one of these bays individually. I would personally prefer that those be cut out, laser cut in advance, but I know production level 1/32 balsa can be awkward because we make a lot of stuff with 1/32 balsa, and it's a little interesting on the laser cutter.
So then we also put started on some of the ribs, installing them, or sorry, not the ribs,
Lower spars.
the lower spars.
All right, go ahead and let's show what we did on the upper. I don't remember if we covered all this yeah, we did cover where we cracked it.
Yeah.
The point is we've left these kind of hanging out, and those will be trimmed and just set back in there after we're done.
So I did that. Did the wings or the wing?
So she just free-handed those bottom spars in. Didn't pin it down or anything like that.
So the problem came was I found out that I didn't have enough spar material to make spars.
And let me interrupt real quick. It is entirely possible that our house is inhabited by a toddler who roams about seeking what balsa he may devour. So it's possible that there was enough and it got lost. On the other hand, it is also possible that the kit was short a little bit. So I know you guys at Ripmax kind of follow our channel. I would ask that you do check to verify that y'all are putting enough of the, it's actually 3/32 square for the spar material, because sometimes that happens. Or if it's something we did, I mean, I looked at it and I didn't think we were wasting the wood, so if there's some formula of what order to use it in to have enough with the amount that's in there, I would suggest putting that in the instructions. Anyway, that's my take on it. I'll interruption over.
So basically, to show you kind of what we did to make them fit.
Because we had scrap that was hanging off, and pretty good sized scraps like this big right here.
So this one I already did it. The bottom two, as you can see.
Yeah, okay, so this does not, she cut these real nice, so it's real hard to see, but there's a 45-degree scarf joint on those.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hope has flush cut those spars on the bottom surface and let them in. We've trimmed them off here. You want to sand that surface a little bit more. As you can see where she's working at that and cutting towards herself so I can fuss at her. But anyway, once all this is done, what's going to end up happening is we will bring this wing in here and basically do a butt join, and that trailing edge still hasn't been trimmed, but you get that. And so your dihedral angle is already set pretty much by setting those ribs. So you can just CA it together at that point. So we'll come back excuse me, we'll come back once all that's done. Okay, so I went and sanded some things here so they all fit nice, so you can see the nice rounded edges and whatnot. I did that because I could, and I like sanding things, even though it's not mine.
And I hate sanding things.
She says that. She sands beautifully when she wants to. Anyway, what Hope is working on is building out the little nose plug. You can see she's got some stuff pinned in right here. The instructions show right here how to make your nose block, your nose plug, and then you glue the nose block on the front of that. And so she's building that out at present. And we'll see if she remembers to glue the correct surfaces to the correct surfaces, or if I get to make fun of her. Ouch. That was the death stare. That's not lined up correctly, honey bun. Compare it to the other piece. Lay it on its side, maybe. See how... There you go. I'd make fun of her again, but I don't want to die. I want to live. Now, here's where I intervene with a piece of advice. Use the piece you already cut. To those of you wondering why, it's because you cannot guarantee that these are both parallel. So you always use a known measure that can't change its dimensions much. I mean, if you got it wet, it would, but hey. I'm getting shrugs over here from the peanut gallery. See what I did there? I called the other side the peanut gallery. I am the peanut gallery. But I'm going to accuse her of being it. Because I like living dangerously. And so now she will hit that with some accelerator.
The one end is already...
Because now you have to do a test fit.
So now I'm going to make sure that it's all hardened.
Yep. Because you don't want it getting stuck in there. I've never done that. And this is the moment of truth, and she got it right. There's a little burr on. Okay, so stop. You got it right, but you got to sand that.
Yeah.
There's a. Hang on, let me show it on camera. There's a burr right here that has to be sanded off. That should be good. And you have to handle this fairly carefully at this point because it doesn't have any gussets in the corners or anything, so it's fairly fragile. Once we glue it to the block of wood, though, it'll be fine.
I'm just OCD.
Whatever. And now it fits absolutely perfectly in there. Alright, so at this point, we'll stop for a second. Alright, so what Hope is doing is she is sanding this front opening, give it a flat surface, and then she has not built a big nose block like this, so I'm going to step in here and kind of help out with my own preferred technique. There's more than one way to do this. Now see, that looks perfect, but what we want to do, if you'll hold the camera, what you want to do, so you've got your keying, well, your nose block key. You've got this piece of wood that you want fairly well centered on that. Now you could just come out here And you could eyeball is saying, yeah, that looks like that's roughly centered on there. But I like to guarantee it. And so what I do is I fit the key into place. And this is assuming it's not a pre-drilled nose block that you can line things up on. But I like to stick it out just a little bit, and then I can lay it down on top of here. And as I'm laying it down, I can visually inspect that it is gapped on all surfaces, that there's excess sticking out. So what I do is I will come in here, and this is where you got to be careful so you don't glue your key into the nose. Because you hit this with glue all the way around. And then carefully, gently lay this down.
Make sure you don't push the key back into the nose so then you glue it.
So what I'm doing is I'm sticking my fingers through and I'm actually pushing it out. Now if you'll notice, it's actually off-centered a little bit there. That's okay because this side that I'm close on, when I push that back in, I still have a gap here. I don't know if that shows up real well with the light, that you can see that I've still got excess. I just have more excess on that side, and that's fine. So at that point, then you can come in here with a knife, you can start, or a saw, like this Zona saw. You can actually lay this in place and start cutting that plane that's parallel to the front of your nose, like so, to cut away the excess. You can come along the sides here, you can do the same thing. And yeah, I know this is not my airplane, but trying to provide some educational benefit here. Come around to the base, same deal, and then the other side you would do that. And now at that point I can actually pull it free, and I can follow all of those cut planes through, except maybe this one, because if you're going to follow a sharp angle like this, you actually want to come in here excuse me, and cut pretty far down in there to ensure that when you come back and freehand with this saw, that you're going to get that exact angle that you're trying to capture. And so now at this point, I can start to lay this saw blade in here and just cut that plane on down in there, like that. Now this is one of many ways to get this done. You can use a carving knife. I mean, lots of kids and adults have done that for forever. That's one of many ways of getting the job done, and it works very well. I just prefer using a saw to get it to that stage, and then you can go from there. I have used a knife myself on many occasions and still do. But I've gotten where I like sawing more. And so what I'm trying to do at this point is just block off that big hunk there. I'm trying to get the cut planes to meet, and I'm not doing the greatest job. At some point here I should be able to bring it together. There we go. And you can see there's a little bit of cutting error. But bottom line is you've got that slope, so I can set it on here, and then when you come into sand, I think I've got something loose in here. Anyway. What?
Sorry, the camera wasn't on there.
But anyway, you just keep sanding until it mates flat across there. That piece I popped loose. Go me. Does not help that this sandpaper is pretty much trashed from other projects. But with enough sanding, preferably do this outdoors where you got ventilation, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm going to stop now because I need new sandpaper because that is just performing abysmally. But anyway, you get the picture. You get a nice plane across there. Do that on the other sides, and you're good to go. And I think this is actually, let me compare this on here. Yeah, so the nose block actually needs to be trimmed back 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 inch shorter, and then you're good to go. So anyway, hope we'll sand out the focus camera. There we go. Hope we'll sand out the stabilizer, get that done. And then we'll also do the little landing gear insert in a minute. Okay, so Hope is actually finished sanding. Done most of her sanding. You still got a spot right here that needs to be. No, round it off, honey. Out of it. Okay. Giving sanding lessons. I don't know why this is a problem, seeing as how someone has made some really nice catapult gliders over the years, and hand launch. Alright, so I'm taking on to a different area of things here. So the landing gear, let me make sure I'm telling you correctly. Yeah, the landing gear goes over here. Actually goes, let me look at the instructions again to verify. Yeah, alright, so they say the landing gear goes on the right side. So, right here. Now, their method is that you, and this is not just Ripmax, this is the old Keil Kraft design. And no issues with it, I mean it works. But they have you run the landing gear leg up here and you bind it to that post. We're not going to do that, we're going to do something slightly different. So this is airfoil aluminum tubing. You can actually take a piece of like 3/16 aluminum tubing and you can crush it to this shape. It's not that critical. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a knife to score this. And I know you can't see what I'm doing. Let's see, maybe if I... Nope. Does not show up at all. Anyway, I've scored it and now it breaks off like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick it up in here. Try to decide the best way to do this. I'm just going to glue it in there like that. Like so. So I'm going to take this bit of glue here. Set this in. My wife is going to steal the glue again. And so it's in there like that. So you're wondering, what in the world is that for? Well, I'll tell you after I bind it in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to just wrap it in there with some thread. So I'll be back when I'm done with that. Okay, so we've got this bound in place, as you can see. Now, the problem is I've got this tube sticking out the bottom, and you want something for the tissue to attach to around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a scrap piece of wood. Let me cut this out, and then I'll show you what I'm doing here. And I'm doing this for Hope simply because I have done this umpteen times, and so it's something I know how to do, and she has not really seen it done a whole lot. I don't always even put this little gusset in here, so this is a 1/16 balsa gusset, and then I'm going to cut out a hunk of it. like that, so that I can then show you. Now I've got that, and now I've got a surface all the way around this to glue the tissue to, so that the tissue doesn't pull away. And you're still wondering, why in the world are we doing all of this? Because I have not explained how the removable landing gear works. Fortunately, I am about to be able to do just that. Alright, so I've got my piece installed, and now I've got the wire that Ripmax supplies, and so I'm going to make a bend in the end of the wire like that. And now I'm going to grab it right here. I'm going to bend it. Yeah, that's enough. I'm going to bend it back on itself like so. I would like to credit Jim Mosley of Canada, formerly of England, who has built lots of these, who sparked my interest in the Senator, actually, by waiving money, technically. Anyway, he came up with this modification of the Senator. I've used it on several of the British designs I've built, and it works great. It works on American airplanes too. Anyway, so I've got this shape right here. See how that works? And now, if I slide this in, I've got an end to grab on. Careful it doesn't punch into you. And now, my landing gear fits in there. Now I can, if I tug pretty hard, I can pull it out. But bottom line, now my landing gear locks in like that. Piece of cake. So there it is, sitting like so on its leg. Kind of supports itself more or less. Pretty cool. Kind of put us a wing together here. Now, Hope is joining along the rib. You specifically want to get the leading edge and the trailing edge and the spars bonded to each other. Ultimately, because that's where the strength lies. But the gluing the ribs together gives you the alignment. And then you're going to bring this all together. You've got to let the dihedral take effect and not glue your hands together. And then you just pinch it right there. And maybe flex it a little this way. But there you go. So there's your dihedral. So the wings formed. We'll come back once the other one's on there. Okay, so a lot of people probably wonder how you stage a rubber model up to take a photo of it fully assembled before you cover it. So I'm going to show you how you do that. You stick some pins in convenient places. Like, I'm going to stick a pin in the back of the fuselage right here. And actually punch that in here. And yeah, you're putting a hole in the wood. That's okay. We'll pop this baggie open with little rubber bands that Ripmax includes, maybe. We'll grab. That's a nose bearing. I should get that back at some point because that's actually important. hook on there. There we go. Okay, that's only designed to go across once. There's another one that size in here we'll get to in a minute. These rubber bands are a little on the stout side. So I would recommend being kind of careful with how you use them. Graceful. I would highly recommend using some softer, like 1/16 tan rubber or even longer office bands, just because that's a little stiff. And where I come in here, when I take our rudder, and again, this is for display purposes, so all I'm doing is trying to show you how you display a model. Now, one thing is you leave some things off, like there are sub-rudders that go on the underside of the stab. I'm not going to show those. Okay, I'm going to retrieve that nose bearing because it keeps distracting me, the fact that it's okay. And the last thing you do is you bring your pretty wing up here. And by the way, I should mention, we've installed little pegs that the wing and stab mount on. And you do want to be a little careful when you're doing this, because you don't have tissue on here right now to absorb any of the loads. The tissue adds a lot more strength to a rubber-powered structure than you would ever imagine. So then, at that point, you take it and retrieve that nose block you lost. You can set this together, and it looks pretty cool. You can, you know, take pictures of it. So there it sits, ready for covering and all that jazz. Probably before we cover it, I think we're gonna, somewhere around here, I'm gonna sheet in an area, and also on the bottom, that's gonna make room for our dethermalizer timer. We'll probably sheet some areas in the center section of the wing as well, just to give some options there. So, I've been hogging the camera. What I really want right now is...
Sorry, let me get the sawdust out of mine.
Yeah, that's the view right there of the lady with her plane, with the grin on her face. So, a penny for your thoughts at this point in the build.
I just want to thank Ripmax for letting me do this. It's been a great build so far, so I'm really pleased with it. Go out there, and if you love this, go out there and buy their kit, and they do a really good job. So
yeah. Alright, so that's going to conclude this segment of the build. You'll get the rest. We're going to do the whole thing. So the next installment will take you through that being a complete flight-ready aircraft. So there y'all go. We'll see you later. Hi, I'm Josh Finn. This is Hope. We are J&H Aerospace.
If you like this video, hit the like button.
Also, how about subscribe to our channel and check out jhaerospace.com for new free flight products and all of the tooling that you'll need to build them.
Thanks for watching.